What up, though, and welcome to another episode of Full Metal Analysis. We are here again on another Victory Tuesday. Not Monday, we do Tuesdays because we broadcast on Tuesdays. A ton of stuff has happened since we last talked to y'all over the weekend. The Lions had a victory over Green Bay. It's essentially a debate whether the Lions are just the best team in the NFC or if they're the best team in the NFL. And we got some trade rumors. I mean, we not even rumors. We got a trade announcement, and the Pistons have been going on a winning streak. But to start off, man, the Lions traded for Za'Darius Smith today, man. Man, I heard all before the trade rumors. You know what I'm saying? All the Lions fans like, we need Max Crosby. We need Max Crosby. Is Max Crosby or bust? You know what I'm saying? If we don't get Max Crosby, there's no way we can win a Super Bowl. And then the Lions trade for Za'Darius Smith today, and everybody's all of a sudden like, we did it. So what are your thoughts on Za'Darius Smith, man?
So when the rumor broke out that a trade for Za'Darius Smith was imminent, I was like, I mean, okay. That came out, I want to say, before the Green Bay Packers game, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Green Bay Packers game happened. And after the Green Bay Packers game, I was more so in your original camp of, hey, if they don't do nothing, I think they'll be fine. I mean, these past couple of weeks without Hutch, they really haven't missed a beat. It's crazy. It's really crazy when you think about it, because Hutch was playing so well that he was in talks of Defensive Player of the Year. He was getting his sacks, he was applying pressure, but at the end of the day, after every game, we was still saying, like, man, the Lions really didn't generate a whole lot of pressure outside of Hutchinson.
Right.
And now Hutchinson's gone, and we're still saying, man, the Lions really aren't generating a whole lot of pressure. And even with that being said, though, like, they're still taking the ball away. I told you a couple weeks back that I was watching the team play, and their tackling was just so bad. And when you watch a Lions game, man, you don't see bad tackling.
Right.
You don't see players out of position. For the most part, you don't see players out of position. Eric Ennis Rakestraw was out there yesterday or Sunday, and somebody caught a ball on him. But, like we were saying with Terrion Arnold, man, yeah, they caught the ball, but Ennis Rakestraw was right there, stride for stride with him. So, Za'Darius Smith, he's been in the league for a while. He's 32 years old. He's been with Baltimore. He's been with Minnesota. He's been with Green Bay, and he just left Cleveland. I think he's a great addition. In terms of being a veteran and just being a professional. And as far as what I think about the trade, I think that, like I said, I was kind of half-hearted about the trade, but once I saw what they gave up to get Za'Darius Smith, it was almost like we just got him for free, honestly.
Yeah, man, I'm happy with the trade. I was in the camp about not giving up a whole lot of picks in the first place. I did think we needed an edge, and I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Za'Darius Smith, but from what I hear, I'm happy with the trade. We didn't give up a whole lot for him. We do. I heard. I mean, from what I hear, he's a sustainable DN. The defense, it's not really generating any pressure. But they, like you said, man, to your point, they have been, like for instance, man, I was watching the Tampa Bay Chiefs game last night, and the Chiefs were running the ball, and the Bucks were just making terrible tackles. I was like, "What's up with that tackling, man?" And I realized like the Lions don't tackle like that, man. The Lions actually wrap up, and when they tackle a dude, they go down. You know what I'm saying? Man, the Chiefs were breaking tackles left. I mean, all that arm tackling, man. Everybody was doing arm tackling. Or you see the littlest guy on the field try to shoulder tackle somebody, and no, they would lay a good hit on him, but he would just bounce off and keep on running.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, the Lions defense, I think Za'Darius Smith is sustainable in holding down. Of course, it's not going to be what Hutch is. Um, we should get Pascal back next game. James Houston came out last game. He wasn't a killer out there, but he did an okay job. You know what I'm saying? One of the shows pointed out that the interception that he got that we got in the Green Bay game was mostly a result of James Houston, instead of rushing, dropping back in the coverage and blocking off that screen that Jordan Love wanted to pass, and essentially he took that away from him. Jordan Love panicked, and that's how we got the interception. So you know what I'm saying. All around, I'm happy with the trade. The deadline, we still got an hour left before the deadline is over with. So it could, they could do something else essentially. I'm sure you got your refresh on while we're doing this to see if they'll do anything else. But if they just stay right here, man, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, I'd definitely be okay with that. And just to put a bow on Za'Darius Smith, the I think the best I've ever seen Green Bay's defense was with Aaron Rodgers, and that was 2019 when they brought in Za'Darius Smith and they brought in Preston Smith. And I remember they had to clarify as no relation, but those two were a great duo, and they caused some havoc on quarterbacks. But 2019, that was Za'Darius Smith's best year in terms of sacks. He totaled 13 and a half sacks. Preston Smith, he got traded today. He's going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh traded for him. But yeah, I mean, not that it's relevant or anything, but Za'Darius had 13 and a half in 2019. Preston had 12 sacks in 2019. So they was causing chaos on that line. Za'Darius, they moved Za'Darius around back then. I remember he sometimes he played on the line, sometimes he played linebacker. But no, man, he's a productive player, and I mean, he knows what the goal is in Detroit. It's no secret. So I think he's gonna adapt that mentality and be a great fit for this team.
Yeah, man. And before they even traded for him, he was saying in an interview that he wanted he couldn't he would love to get the chance to play the Vikings and Green Bay again. So he should be come out fired up for him. And I think he's got a 2-year contract, so he'll be here for 2 years. So yeah, man, great trade. Speaking of the Green Bay game, man, the Lions came out. They played a they played a good game against Green Bay. Uh, Everybody was saying that the Lions are not an outside team. You know the narrative. Jared Goff plays bad in bad weather, which was kind of true. You know what I'm saying? Up until this past weekend, man, the Lions came out. They played great. Once again, Jared Goff had a perfect first half for the most part, and the Lions looked like they were the outside team, and Green Bay was making mistakes. Part of it could have been because of they threw Jordan Love out there with an injured groin, but the Lions look good, man, and they are, like I said earlier, being debated whether they're the best team in the NFC or the best team in the NFL, man. What are your thoughts and takeaways from last week's from Sunday's game?
I'm one of those people that think that they are the best team in football. That game was over early, honestly, and it was. I will say that I think that game was. I was surprised to hear that people thought that the Lions could potentially lose that game. I guess I don't know. I don't want to say it like that, but some people were picking Green Bay to win, and I didn't feel that way. I know you didn't feel that way, and maybe if the Jordan Love injury wasn't there, I might have felt different. Maybe if Jair Alexander was healthy, if their whole team was healthy for the most part, I might have felt different. But with the injuries and everything, I just and the way the Lions are playing, I didn't see a path where the Lions could lose that game. Uh, I didn't think they would come out and just dominate, like you said, in the rain. When I saw rain, okay, I was like, well, it might be a dog fight, but no, man. I mean, they looked like they was immune to the rain. Like the rain had no effect on them. The Kirby Joseph interception pick six was beautiful. Um, and I've been listening, and the Lions are, the Lions, like I said, Lions are arguably the best team in football right now. They're definitely playing as one of the best teams in football. And it just kind of made me think, like, people have tried to do this so many times. So what is it? And I'll ask you. I'll give you time to think about it, and I'll just give you my answer. But what is it that worked finally? After years and years of the Lions, but not even just the Lions. There's so many teams that start these rebuilds and they just go nowhere. What did the Lions do differently? I think it was just like the perfect storm. First, your GM is amazing at drafting players.
Right.
Your coach is a former player who is a great leader of men, and at the same time, who played in the game, who understands the game, and can translate that to his players. He has a vision. The GM also has a vision, and for the most part, those visions align with each other. And I think the key factor is right. I think the key thing is I've been in working situations twice now. Well, not twice, but I've been in working situations where there's not new management, but basically there's a new supervisor, right? Or it could be an old supervisor. It doesn't really matter. But the thing is, that supervisor brings in a whole crew of young players or young employees, but everybody is young. Everybody is new. They don't have their mind made up on what is in front of them. They're open ears. They're open to criticism, and they hear the vision, and that's all they know is that vision, and that's what I feel like the Lions have done. Is Brad Holmes hit home runs on so many of these picks, so he got the great talent, and this talent hasn't had any other coach in the NFL besides Dan Campbell, and then year after year, more and more guys come in, and it's the same program, and everybody hasn't had any other coach besides Dan Campbell, AG, and Ben Johnson. So it's just the same thing with no outsider, and in my mind, that's why they are so protective of that locker room, so protective of the culture, so protective of who they bring in and whatnot. And I think it all just combines to just make this perfect storm that is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. What I would say is, so I've been watching the Lions for a long time, man, and it's been a long time. So when I first started watching the Lions, I feel like they kind of had their own identity back in the 90s with Barry Sanders and Wayne Fonts, Herman Moore, and all those guys. They kind of had an identity, but they didn't have the upper levels, the front office to back them. You know what I'm saying? They had the players, but they didn't have the support. You know what I'm saying? Back then, they weren't getting that one guy that would support them. They weren't the GMs weren't making the moves to give them the guys that they needed. And then when Barry Sanders and after the Wayne Fonts era, they started hiring coaches that tried to bring another team's identity. Whatever team they were with, they got hired from San Francisco, New England. They tried to bring that culture here and do it that team's way instead of building their own identity. So when we got rid of when Sheila took over, and she essentially asked, like, what do we need to build a successful team? And she hired Chris Spielman, and he gave his input. And then they hired Dan Campbell, like you said, who's a former player and understands what players need. And then he hired more players, and they can relate to the players on the field. And then and we got Brad Holmes, who is good and will give you the players that you need to put to accommodate each other. And then Dan Campbell brings that culture into that locker room and essentially, to your point, put guys and build. Brad Holmes drafts those guys, and Dan Campbell implements the thinking that they want inside their head, and essentially they just build that culture together. So even when they do bring in a vet, uh that culture is there. And not only that, but they're not bringing just any vet in. They're bringing guys that can assimilate to that culture essentially. So pretty much, man, I mean, I would just have to say it's the front office and essentially the way they built the team, and what and the protection that they do when they bring guys in. It's essentially carefully and scrutinize who they put on this team. And not only that, Brad Holmes is not spending money recklessly. Like, every fan in Detroit wants them to go out and make these major moves and spend a whole bunch of money. But Brad Holmes hasn't done that yet. He has stuck to his guns. He has done what has worked, and they have not stepped outside of their game plan from day one.
Bro, you know what while you was talking, it reminded me. That's the biggest thing I took away from that Green Bay game is when you said Dan Campbell's able and the whole coaching staff is able to implement into the minds of these players what they want to see on the field. Is that during that game, bro, it was, they called it a monsoon. And I'm sitting at home watching the game, and I'm like I'm not even there, but I just feel miserable. Like, I just want to I feel for the players. Like, man, I just want to go home. It's cold, it's wet, it's slippery. Like, and that's how Green Bay looked. Like, God, we just want to get through this game. And dog, on the flip side, the Lions look like, man, it's just another Sunday. They couldn't wait to be out there. They
Right.
came to play. They would have played another 60 minutes if they would have allowed. Like, that's how they look, bro. They just look like, no, man, we here to win this game. We here to play football. We don't care what it looks like. And that's what Jared Goff said after the game. That's what Dan Campbell will play you anywhere. We'll play in anything. And a lot of times people say that and it's cliche, but bro, like, I felt that. Like, I could feel that through the TV. Like, that team will play anywhere and everywhere because they want to play and they want to win. So it's like, dog, this team is definitely different.
Yeah, man. They were excited to be out there. You could tell they out there having fun, man. And I mean, this essentially, man, the feeling is just different, man. Like you said, these guys don't know what loss is. They just go out there and have fun. They're excited to be out there. They want to make plays. They excited to do the trick plays. That pass, that first touchdown that Amon-Ra St. Brown made, the double move into the end zone. he was like, "Yeah, man, we've had that play in our we've been working on that play for months, and we finally got a chance to run it." And he was just so excited about it, man. So yeah, man, I feel what you're saying 100%. On the other side, man, I am fully in on your mindset, man. Speaking of the culture and certain guys we want to bring in and not having bad influences, man. I'm ready, dog. I'm ready to adapt the Brad Holmes villain mentality. Detroit versus everybody. The NFL and the league um, made a sketchy call. Brian Branch goes in essentially with his shoulder, makes a hit, and while he was doing that, his head hits the other player of another player, and the league decides to kick Brian Branch out of the game. Brian Branch is like, man, fuck the referees, fuck you fans. This is some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? The NFL is calling down from New York to get this guy out of the game. And I felt it right there at that moment. Like, yeah, Brian Branch, fuck them, man. And it fired up the team. The team was like, you know what? We're going to ride for Brian Branch. And it was no looking back from there, man. I feel like essentially that was the moment that won the game for the Lions, man. Fuck the rules. We're gonna do this on our own terms. The league versus everybody. I mean, Detroit versus everybody.
It was that moment was that moment. If you go down the history of the Detroit Lions, you can find moments like that, throughout the history, which is essentially the game screws the Lions. I don't think I've ever seen a 30-yard, essentially what netted to be a 30-yard penalty and an ejection of one of the best players on your defense. We talked about it, probably the best player on your defense right now.
Right.
And how many times, I hear people talk about it, how many times in the past has something like that happened, and then the game just turns and momentum swings and the walls come crumbling down. But as Dan Campbell says week after week, this team is built for this, and there was no let up. There was nothing like Brian Branch was essentially still out there. You can't tell me. I don't know if it was the spirit of Brian Branch or whatever, but it didn't even matter to your point, man. Like the Lions rallied, the Lions kept going. And right now, the way they're playing, they've lost their best player. Their second best player they lost their best defensive player. Second best defensive player got ejected. They're missing guys. They're missing Rodrigo. They're missing Barnes. It's all over the field, man. But at the end of the day, man, you can't tell. And they're showing up, and they continue to move forward to again the goal that they have set. At the beginning of the season.
Yeah, man, I could see it out there, man. The team was fired up, like Kirby said, man. Free my boy BB. But yeah, man. To your point, man, I've never seen that in an NFL game. I've seen guys get laid out, and a guy getting kicked out, man. I thought that was only in college. I have never seen a guy get kicked out of the game that fast as a targeting penalty. Matter of fact, I saw like 4 highlights this weekend of essentially worse plays than what I saw from the Brian Branch hit. The Panthers damn near killed a guy on the field, and I didn't see no ejection. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. I don't know what's happening there, but yeah, man. I'm with you, man. I feel like the Lions are the best team in football right now. I see teams that could give them trouble, but no team essentially that the Lions aren't better than.
Their reasoning behind ejecting Branch was that they felt like he could have pulled off on the hit but he still continued on with the hit, and it was essentially unnecessary contact. But to your point, I mean, there was so many plays that like not even just Sunday, like over the course of the season, there's been so many plays. And yeah, the only time you ever see a player ejected is if they get in a fight or if they put their hands on the referee. But for unnecessary roughness call, the last time I think I saw an ejection for an unnecessary roughness call, Myles Garrett took a man's helmet and tried to beat him to death with it. Now, are you telling me that that's on the same level of Brian Branch making a routine football play? Like, I'm with you, man. It's crazy. Real quick. Speaking of the Lions, I mean, Sunday night football versus the Rams, big game, opening night. Lions win, a lot of pressure. Seahawks, they can't beat the Seahawks. Seahawks come in. Lions take care of business. Cowboys, they got screwed last year. They go to Dallas 47-9. Vikings undefeated. It was closer than it should have been, but still 31-29. And now they got to go to Green Bay, play in the weather. It's all these tests that's been put in front of the Lions early in the season. I mean, the next test is Houston Texans. They might get Nico Collins back. They got Will Anderson and can't remember who was on the other side, but that might pose a problem. But all that being said, we got the Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts, Chicago Bears. We get the Packers at our place. We got the Bills. It's at our place though. Then the Bears, then the 49ers would likely will have Christian McCaffrey back by then, and end the season with the Vikings. Now, outside of the Texans, I shouldn't look past the Texans, and you can't look past the Bills, and the 49ers are debatable. We'll see how they are health wise, but man, that schedule looks very favorable for the Lions.
Yeah, man, and that's what I'm saying, man. And essentially, I feel like we pretty much. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun, but we pretty much locked up the division. We should, take care of business and lock up the number one seed. Essentially, there are only three more games we could possibly lose, and I don't see us losing those games. Uh, saying unless some fluke happens. We've been like you said, we've been taking care of business. We essentially get JMO back this next game. We've added Za'Darius Smith. Pascal is coming back. I mean, Rodrigo will be back in the next couple of weeks. I mean, we're getting guys back, and we essentially haven't really lost a step. So yeah, man, I feel like it's pretty much sold up.
And I wanna encourage anybody. I feel like a majority of our listeners do. I feel like a majority of our listeners are on Team JMO with us. But anybody who questions JMO's status with the team, I guess you would say, I just encourage you to go out and try to find some clips from people asking Dan Campbell or Jared Goff about Jameson Williams. And as big of a deal as the media and some fans have made about the whole gun situation, I don't get any of that sense from Jared Goff or Dan Campbell. Um, you know, Dan Campbell, everything he said, like he really didn't entertain any conversations about JMO going forward. It was like, hey man, he knows what it is. He's grown, like he's grown. He's still gonna have his issues, but as soon as he's reinstated, yeah, he gonna be right back out there, and I don't think he gonna miss a beat. I mean, that's the sentiment coming out of Allen Park. So, if that's what they saying, man, that's that. Might as well get with it.
Yeah, man. JMO is a young kid, man. I think people forget he's only like 22. I mean, who hasn't made mistakes when they 22? Outside of what he does, what he does outside of the field, he's a professional on the field. He's been working hard. You know what I'm saying? He essentially makes the team better. And I have not heard one teammate say that JMO is a distraction to the team. They all have JMO's back, and I feel like you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. He's one of your homies. You know what I'm saying. All your homies aren't always perfect. You know what I'm saying, but you got their back, and you understand when they make mistakes. And you know what I'm saying. As long as he keeps working hard and producing on the field, man, I feel like it'll always be that way.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's quote was like, I judge people by basically what's in their heart. And J-Mo is who he is, man. Like, I mean, yeah, he is a young kid, but I don't think that he's ever really gonna change, what you see right now. That's just who he is. But at the same time, man, it all goes back to the fact that, like you said, he's a great teammate. Everybody loves J-Mo on the team, but I just think you can't have it all. Sometimes I always say, man, sometimes if you want that extra bit of dynamic player in your locker room, it's gonna come with something, and it might come with some misdemeanors, or might come with some suspensions, or it might come with some silly moments. But bro, like, if that's the cost of having one of the fastest players in the league on your team, I think the cost is worth it.
And like I said, man, bump it, man. The league is. It feels like the league is against us with all these bullshitting calls, man. So let's just lean into it, man. Let's be the outlaws. Let's make it essentially what it is. They don't want to give us our respect. We take our respect. You know what I'm saying? The Lions are 7-1. You know what I'm saying? I don't see the Lions on national news. I see the Chiefs. The Lions beat Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? We get a small little segment, but they talk about Baltimore all day. You know, the Lions the, it's about the Cowboys losing. Let's lean into, and we ain't got to be villains, but we for sure outlaws, man. Let's lean into that.
Uh,
But
speaking of the, speaking of the Ravens, they made a trade for cornerback Tre'Davious White. They got him from the Rams.
oh, okay, yeah. So the Baltimore's making moves. Did the Chiefs make any more moves, or is it just DeAndre Hopkins?
No, they got D Hop and they got David Ojabo.
Oh, okay, yeah, and D Hop had a good game yesterday. Oh, and before we end this segment on the Lions Packers game, man, I want to give a quick shout out to Panay Sewell, man. Panay Sewell has been not that it's not that he hasn't been before, but dog, when you go run back and watch those highlights, Panay Sewell is out there dominating dudes, man. He's blocking 2 and 3 people. He's upfield blocking. Every time you see a long run, man, Panay Sewell is at the center of it, man. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to him, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Every time Jared Goff does an interview, every Tuesday, I think, on 97.1, and somehow, man, they always find a way back to Panay Sewell, just about his blocking skill, just how the guy is just a phenomenal athlete. Um, it's hard. It's I don't know, man. If the Bengals could do it all over again, would they have taken Panay Sewell, or would they still have stuck with Jamar Chase? I can see it both ways, but nah, man. Panay Sewell is a freak of nature. Uh, he's definitely a foundational piece to this team. I mean, you can't be happier that they've re-signed him to his extension. Um, Man, nah, Panay Sewell, man, he's honestly the straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. Well, since we're talking about trade rumors and whatnot, man, we may as well get into the results from Bet It Up.
Oh, man, oh man. I'm glad this week is over. So it was a rough week for me. It was an okay week for you. I finished the week at 6-9. You finished the week at 7-8. My overall total now is 68 and 69. Your overall total is 71 and 66.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah,
whoa.
man. Rough week. Houston at New York taking on the Jets at New Jersey. Jets were given two. We just couldn't believe in the Jets, but we were both on we were both on Houston, and it was one of those games where, like, as soon as the game started off, I just got a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. The Jets did everything they could too in the first half to make me feel better. Like my man crossing the end zone and dropping the ball before he got in there. But that second half, man, the Jets turned it on.
Hey, man, Aaron Rodgers is back, baby. Aaron Rodgers. we told you that it would happen. The Devontae Adams trade changed everything. They are going to the Super Bowl. It's no question about it, man. Man, after that game went off, man, they were all. This is one of my points. After that game went off, man, they were all over ESPN. Every sports network was like, "See, we told you, man." It was just, and that's my point, man. They want the Jets to be good so bad. Do I believe the Jets are back? No. Do I feel like they can win a couple more games now? Yeah, the Texans aren't who they used to, who they were last year. There's no telling if they'll get that lightning in the bottle that they had last year back. But right now, they are not that team. And to the guy who threw that ball out before he crossed the finish line, you got to fake an injury, man. They can't pan into that guy on the sideline looking distraught and hurt, man. You can't stand on the sideline looking like that, man. So I'll be like, oh, my toe. I'm gonna go in the locker room. He was all over ESPN. He was all over all the sports network, just looking sad, man. Lesson learned, man. You got to fake an injury.
Houston was just devastated with injury that game. I mean, it was Joe Mixon out there. Tank Dell was trying to do some stuff. CJ Stroud was trying to do some stuff, but I mean, they was decimated with injury. I think Will Anderson left that game, and then on the flip side, Garrett Wilson decided that it was time to build on his resume, so he could put his resume out to other teams. But Garrett Wilson turned into a monster. I mean, he was catching anything and everything thrown his way. And even Devontae Adams must have rubbed off on Devontae Adams because then he started making plays and they got rolling. I'm still not sold on the defense, so I'm with you. Yeah, they might win a couple more games, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to the Super Bowl or anything. Next up, we got the Las Vegas Raiders going to Cincinnati taking on the Bengals. And also back to the Jets real quick. A couple weeks ago, the game ended with Aaron Rodgers throwing to Mike Williams, and there was a lot of controversy that Mike Williams run the wrong route? Should Aaron Rodgers have made a different pass? Aaron Rodgers was kind of like, he kind of ran the wrong route. The GM of the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, has traded Mike Williams to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Aaron Rodgers will give people fired all season long. Don't upset Aaron Rodgers.
The the Raiders went to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Bengals were given 7. You took the Raiders. I took the Bengals. Joe Burrow 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, man. I mean, I went out on a limb with the Raiders. I didn't believe that the Raiders would actually win that game, but Cincinnati's just been finding ways to lose, and I just roll with that. But I mean, I should have took the smart bet on that one. I regretted it instantly. But sometimes you got to roll the dice.
Oh yeah. I know all about rolling the dice. Yeah, usually don't work out for me, as we'll see later on. The Washington Commanders went to New York to take on the Giants. Giants were given 4. I mean, Giants were getting 4 at home. I don't think it was anything anybody could do to get us not to take Washington. We took Washington. Washington won that game 27-22. So it was closer than I would have thought. But Washington covered. I don't remember anything from this game.
What can you say? Washington did what we all knew they were going to do. The Giants were the Giants. Daniel Jones went out there and made a few plays, and nothing came of it. So, I mean, the Giants gianted.
Next up, we got Dallas went to Atlanta. Dallas lost the battle, lost the war. I'm telling you, man, I don't like Atlanta. They're not that exciting to watch, but man, they find ways to win. Atlanta 27, Dallas 21. Dak is going to miss some time. CD Lamb left that game, and all of that. And Jerry Jones decided to trade for the Carolina Panthers wide receiver Jonathan Mingo.
But will it help them, though? I
No, Jonathan
mean,
Mingo does not play defense.
I think that that game is just. I mean, you can sum it up as: is Atlanta that good, or is Cowboys that bad? I think it's a little bit of both. The Cowboys ecosystem. Speaking of having internal problems, the Cowboys defense is. I mean, the Cowboys are just internally. They just have bad problems all around. They don't have a running back. Their quarterback is in shambles. CeeDee Lamb is their only player. He just got hurt. I think Dak got hurt towards the end of that game. They had to play Trey Lance. Go Trey Lance, by the way. And like you said, I don't know what to say about Atlanta, man. They put up a lot of numbers, but they're not going to beat any good teams. They'll beat a team like Dallas, but I don't really have much more than that on that game.
Well, it's going to be a while before you actually get to see who Atlanta really is, because looking at their schedule, Atlanta goes to New Orleans, then they go to Denver. Now they got a tricky game against the Chargers, and maybe a tricky game against Minnesota. Then they play the Raiders. Then they play the Giants. He got a good game against Washington, and then they finish the season off against Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Very, very, very favorable schedule.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of Denver and my train, the train derailed. The train derailed hard, fast. Yeah, they ran. The tracks got sent to Baltimore, and ain't a lot of trains going through Baltimore unencumbered. So yeah, we both took Denver. Denver was getting 9.5. I thought they might be able to do something with that 9.5, but when the score is 41-10, that 9.5 is not gonna help.
Yeah, man. apparently Baltimore was pissed off about that loss to the Browns uh, last week, and they gave everything. They took it all out on Denver, and Denver had no answer. Hey, that was another one of those. I mean, I fully expected Baltimore to win, but like you said, I thought they would cover the 9 points, but they did not. So
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see where the train goes next week.
Denver. No, yeah, Denver put up a fight, and they were holding on, and then in that second half, there was no more holding on, and Baltimore just pulled away. Don't get much easier for Denver. They got the Chiefs next week. Like I
Oh
said, then they
wow.
got Atlanta. But then you got a nice little stretch. You got Raiders, Browns, Colts. So we'll see how it goes for Denver. All right, next up. Oh man, in a battle of ugly, we had the New England Patriots going to Tennessee. Uh, Tennessee was giving 3.5. We was both on New England. New England lost that game, but they did cover the 3.5. My thing about that game is that Jared Mayo was on record of saying that his defense played soft. And, Bill Belichick went on record. He didn't appreciate that comment. And the following week, the team responded, they got to win, right? You've been in this ugly game. Drake May had the most miraculous touchdown. I think that was a touchdown. Yeah, touchdown pass on the final play of the game. The play felt like it was going for like 15 seconds. He gets sacked and just released the ball where you thought the ball was just going straight into the dirt or to nobody in the end zone. But no, somebody caught it. They tied the game. Oh no. They go 27 to whatever they was down by 1 point. And instead of going for the win, which by the way, I'm not a big fan. These announcers hit you with all these analytics. The two analytics that I hear the most are when you're on the road and you tie it up, go for 2 and try to win the game. Okay, I'm not big on that. And then the other one is this new idea that if you are down by double digits, I guess, just go for 2. Like, and that's what teams have been doing, and I just that is so dumb, and it pisses me off every time I see it. I know the New York Giants got caught up doing that, and they, the first one they didn't get, so now they got to go for it again. I think that is so
Right.
dumb, but I digress. I think Jared Mayo should have went for the win right there. I get it. Your quarterback just ran around for like 13 seconds. Everybody's tired. Anthony Richardson will tell you, hey, sometimes quarterbacks get tired too. So maybe he thought Drake May was tired. I don't know, man. But that game had not been going your way. So why you would allow it to go to overtime? And the same thing with Tampa Bay. We'll get there. But that game had not been going your way. Hey, man, you on the road. You a bad team. And that's another thing. You a bad team. So, man, F it, man. Go for it. Go for the win. You win, you win. You lose. But you took it to overtime and you lost there where you had no chance. So, I ain't like that.
Yeah, man. So wait a minute. You mean to tell me a quarterback ran around for 13 seconds and he didn't check himself out of the game?
Hey, man, but don't forget, man, quarterbacks get tired too, man. Oh, that's on the trade thing. It says that the Colts say that Anthony Richardson is not available for trade.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trade him, but yeah, man, you got to bench him after he takes himself out of the game because he's tired, man. Hopefully that kid learns a lesson and he can become the quarterback and the leader that the team actually thinks he is. But yeah, man, going back to that New England game, yeah, man, New England, man, I feel like that was the battle of the first draft picks. New England showed that we are our first draft pick team. we need some help, and they're fully going for that first draft pick. It was an ugly game. Nobody wanted to see it. I didn't watch it. I I don't know who watched it, but yeah, I don't have too much to say about that game. Going forward, I can't see unless they play each other again. I can't see myself picking either team.
Right. Next up, we got Miami going to Buffalo. Buffalo was at home, giving 6. We were both on Buffalo. Miami ended up showing up for that game. Yeah, they ended up showing up. They only lost by 3, so they covered. Uh, what's up with Miami, man?
Tua's back. Miami is showing signs of life again, and with Tua in the mix, they're gonna be a good football team. They're gonna make plays, and it's just the fact that Miami cannot beat Buffalo, man. It's just not in them to beat Buffalo. I would say that Buffalo is Miami's kryptonite, and you know what I'm saying, it's something about them that whenever they play Buffalo, they just came. And Miami put up a good effort too, man. It was no the players that I saw. It was a good game, man. But they just don't have an answer for Buffalo, and that's all it is to it, man. Other than that, I just don't think Miami has a good defense, and they're not going to stop teams from scoring. So if they can't outscore a team, then they won't win. And we'll see how long Tua lasts, man. I mean, I'm not wishing that he gets hurt, but you know what I'm saying? It's a gamble every time he steps on the field.
Yeah, Miami. Tua, like you said, Tua is back, but he's slowly getting there. Jalen Waddle did have a touchdown, but I think he only had like 2 catches, and his first catch came in like the final 2-3 minutes of the game. So it was they still gotta get back on. They still gotta get everybody back on the same page because right now they are struggling. But to your point, they finished the game strong. They tied it up, and Buffalo was able to march down, kick a game-winning field goal. So I'll be interested to see what they do next week. Um, Out of curiosity, next week Miami 2-7 Miami. Wow, 2-7 Miami plays the Rams. That might be a entertaining game to watch.
Yeah, it'll be entertaining. Neither team really has a defense, and they're both offensive based games, so it'll be a shootout. I think Cooper Cup got I mean not Cooper Cup, but Puka Nakua got kicked out of the game for throwing a punch. I'm not sure if he is suspended for this game or not, but yeah, I think it'll be a shootout next week.
Yeah, he shouldn't be suspended. He shouldn't have even been kicked out the game. That was another bogus ejection.
Right.
Speaking of gambling, man, I was with it, and I told you I understood it, and I was almost there, but I didn't do it. I put way too much faith in the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints went to Carolina. Carolina was getting 7.5 at home. I took New Orleans. You took Carolina. Uh, New Orleans lost this game, and they were so disgusted with losing this game that they fired their head coach. Which, I mean, if you lose to the Carolina Panthers, you should expect that you might be fired the next day.
Yeah, man. I could just see the GM like, what? We lost the whole? Tell them to report to my office immediately. Nah, man. I seen it coming, man. The Saints came out and they completely embarrassed the Panthers the first game of the season, man. They essentially lost by 50 points. And if you can't get fired up for this game against a team that's been losing for the past 6 weeks, a team that embarrassed you, a team that essentially hasn't had their quarterback for the past five games, there's no then you may as well not play. the rest of your game. So yeah, man, they came out fired up, and I don't know what's going on with New Orleans, but they've been looking bad. I've heard. I mean, I don't know what they did today, but I heard rumors that they were looking to, essentially they were had a fire sale going on. So we'll see what. It's 2 minutes until 4 o'clock now. So we'll see if they've made any moves, and if they're essentially trying to revamp that team, which would suck seeing that they just resigned. Which would suck for Alvin Kamara seeing that they just resigned them, extended them.
Yeah, the Saints were on Brad Holmes' radar. He was looking at the rumors were he was looking at Granderson. I can't think of his first name. Carl Granderson, I think his name was pass rusher. Um, no reports on that, but they did trade Marshawn Lattimore to the Washington Commanders.
Oh wow, that's a good pickup for Washington.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, their defense is. I think their defense is underrated. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. And yeah, to your point, that'll be a great addition. Let's see. Next up, we had the L. Oh my goodness, we had the LA Chargers going through the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland was at home, getting 1.5. We both thought that the Cleveland defense was back. And we didn't think that Justin Herbert would do well under pressure. I don't think we put enough emphasis on the Cleveland offense sucks.
Yeah, man, Jameis Winston was not eating W's this time. Uh, they could not they could not pull it together to beat the Chargers. And I mean, once again, man, I took a lot of gambles last week, and this was one of them, and it just didn't pan out. You know what I'm saying? But you never know what you're gonna get with Jameis Winston. I think he came out and had like four picks or something like that. So I mean, you essentially really rolling the dice when you bet on Jameis Winston because he could come out, he could have a great game, or he could be the worst quarterback you've ever seen in your life. So, and it was the latter this time.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the only thing I could say in his defense is that Cleveland has no receivers. But ideally, yeah, to your point, you do not want to throw to the other team 3 times. um, Jacksonville went to Philly. Um, this is one of the 2 games where against my bet. Well, this is a tough game for me. Both the 7.5 was tough because as I pointed out, for whatever reason, Philly and KC are teams that win, but they hate covering big spreads. Uh, it would have been hard to bet on Jacksonville though because Jacksonville has looked terrible all year. But Jacksonville covered the 7.5. Saquon Barkley had an amazing hurdle that I've never seen before, and we probably won't ever see again. But Philly won the game.
It's a new move, man.
Hey, try it at your own risk.
Hey, man. I mean, you see it every day, man. Somebody does something you've never seen before, and these youngsters, these little kids see it on TV, and they start practicing in their driveways, and before you know it, everybody's doing it.
Yeah, until it don't work, and that guy gets carted off the field. No, man, it looked like it just looked like a video game, man, where it's like, all right, here comes this obstacle, press A. All right, here's the next obstacle, press B. Oh no, here's another one. Press the triangle. Like that's what it looked like, man. And Philly. If there's any opposition in the NFC right now, it looks like it's Philly for the Lions.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. The networks tried to make a big deal of Philly blowing that 22-point lead, but a lot of the times, like just like in the Lions game, a lot of people try to say, "Well, the Lions didn't win by a lot of points with a lot of teams." But clearly, if you watch the games, you see that the Lions were in control the whole game. And I think the same thing for that Philly game. Philly wasn't in danger of losing that game. Yeah, the Jaguars did drive down and almost made a comeback game, but I think that's essentially because they were up by so much that they essentially took their foot off the gas, and then they weren't paying attention, and what I'm saying, the Jaguars tried to make a run, and then Trevor Lawrence became Trevor Lawrence, and they just didn't pull it out.
Yeah, man, there was a lot of fluke stuff. Mainly, the thing that got Jacksonville back into that game was the fluke. Saquon Barkley fumble. It was debatable on whether or not it was a fumble. He got like grazed by a defender, but he kept going, and then he lost his footing and fell down, got back up, dropped the ball, and Jacksonville recovered it. I think they took it back, and then on the next drive, I think Hurts threw an interception, but I think that got overturned. And then even at the end of the game, Saquon had an opportunity to get a first down, and he just stopped short of the first down marker to keep the clock going. And then on third down, they didn't get the first down, so then they had to punt. Like it was exactly why Philly does a terrible job of covering big spreads. Like to your point, they just took their foot off the gas and got the win. But that's another coaching strategy I don't necessarily agree with. Like, go ahead. I mean, you know what else? You know what else cements the game is going up by two scores. That's the same. That's the same thing as run the clock out of my book. Hey, go up two scores if you can.
All
Uh,
right.
all right. Oh my goodness. So these last games are gonna all be with the disclaimer against my better judgment. And against my better judgment, I took Chicago. You took Arizona. Uh, Arizona won the game. Arizona dominated the game. Chicago looks terrible. Against my better judgment, I feel like the player going against his old coach. I feel like I would. I feel like I should always take the old coach in that situation. I did not. I took Chicago. Uh, they didn't have an answer on offense for anything that Arizona was throwing at them. And once Arizona got a lead, I mean, they just sent the dogs on Caleb Williams.
Yeah, man. Essentially, the Chicago will show who they are, man. Chicago is going to beat weaker teams, the teams that are not that good in the league. They beat up on a couple of bad teams, and everybody essentially wanted to say that Chicago, see, Caleb Williams is what we all told you and all this. But it's like I said before, man. Caleb Williams has a lot of developing to do. He is not ready to be the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears, and Arizona essentially came out and just dominated them. Now I will say Arizona played better than I thought they were. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout, but yeah, man, Chicago is not really a good team, and anytime they play a good team, you're going to see it.
Going over it, but Detroit went to Green Bay. We were both on Detroit. Detroit won and covered. The LA Rams went to Seattle. We were both on LA. It was somewhat of an ugly game. Like we said, Puka Nakua got ejected. But Seattle and Geno Smith and his center, man, for whatever reason, are not on the same page. We talked about last week the bad snaps and the stepping on the foot, and this week the exact same thing happens. High snap over Gino's head, exact same outcome. K9's got to run back there, track it down, and gets back like 5 yards. But Seattle looks all types of out of sorts right now.
Yeah, man. I don't know what's going on with them in their offense right now, but they need to pull it together if they want to make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? If they don't make the playoffs, I won't be mad at it. But I don't know if DK Metcalf is the one that holds that offense together, but they really do need him back.
Indianapolis went to Minnesota Sunday Night Football. Um, I watched the first half of this game, and the Colts looked like they were doing well. I think they had the lead going into halftime, and I woke up, and apparently it all fell apart.
I seen bits and pieces of this game. It wasn't a good game. It was. I mean, once again, the Minnesota was beating up on a bad team. I knew Minnesota. I knew Minnesota would win this game, but it's just I'm not sure about Minnesota. A couple of weeks ago, I mean they'll still make the playoffs, but no, a couple of weeks ago I was more. So Minnesota is starting to look like when I called them frauds at the beginning of the year. They're starting to look like that now. But we'll see if they can pull it together. They did win, but I feel like a better team would have beat them this week. So I don't know. We'll see what Minnesota has going on moving forward.
Minnesota's next three games are at Tennessee, at Chicago. I'm sorry, at Jacksonville, at Tennessee, at Chicago.
So, like I said, they'll make the playoffs.
Tampa, and the last game of the week was Tampa Bay going into Kansas City. We were both on Kansas City. Like I said, man, Kansas City, Philadelphia hate covering big spreads. This game was no different, and this game had the same outcome as New England, Tennessee, where the Tampa Bay scored. I'll give Todd Bowles a little bit of leeway because Todd Bowles is a defensive coach. So going for it to win the game is a bit aggressive. And I don't think Todd Bowles is the most aggressive head coach. And at the same time, the Buccaneers aren't a horrible team, but they are banged up to all hell. So I don't know, man. You going against the undefeated Chiefs. Sometimes you got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and it might have been the right decision to go for it on that one.
I'm on the fence about that one. Yeah, they could have went for it, but essentially, you had to. Either way, you had to defend it, and there's no guarantee that you get it. I feel like you do go for overtime, but I don't think that was the mistake in that game. The mistake in that game was essentially they had one timeout before they even had to make that decision, and they called timeout with like I want to say like 40 seconds left on the clock or 30 seconds left on was well they called timeout with like 50 seconds left on the clock, something around there.
No,
And,
it was like 31 seconds because I remember I was laughing because the announcer, I can't remember who it was. Was it Troy Aikman? Troy Aikman was irate.
yeah, man, but they had the opportunity, man, to run the clock down as far as it could possibly go and then score. And that would have been, I mean, and essentially, you know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, and then, so if they had did that, if they had ran the clock all the way down and got it down to like a couple of seconds, then I would say, yeah, you go for the game winner. But I don't know the way they played it out. I just think that was a bad coaching decision, and I think that's where they made the mistake at.
I mean, I get it. But as it ended up playing out, the Tampa Bay ended up being able to stop them from getting in the field goal range, even though they were right there. But they were able to stop them. I'm not gonna argue with you that they could have ran it out. I wasn't as irate as Troy was. Um, it was. I mean, it was what it was. I mean, it, this isn't the same Patrick Mahomes, but bro, we saw Patrick Mahomes get in the field goal position with what was it, like 14 seconds against Buffalo in that AFC game, AFC
Yeah,
Championship
yeah.
game. So I mean, if it's time on the clock, man, he gonna find a way. But at the end of the day, I can't. I would have to look it up, and I'd be curious to see. But I don't ever remember Patrick Mahomes losing a game in overtime. So
Yeah,
that I think that's why I might have went for it on that one.
I don't know. I don't know what happened after Patrick Mahomes got hurt, but it's like they gave him powers after that play because he was unstoppable after that play. After he got hurt, he had superpowers, and it was funny. It was funny to see uh Wentz warming up on the sideline, thinking he was gonna go in, and then all of a sudden he like, hey man, you playing? And Patrick Mahomes was like, yeah man, go sit down.
Yeah, man. Hey, I feel like Patrick Mahomes always gives off the image that he's hurt. Like even his little jog, like he constantly jogs like he's limping. So I don't ever know when he's hurt or not. But yeah, he kind of twisted his ankle, but I guess it wasn't that bad because, like you said, he came out and there was no problems.
Yeah, man, that was amazing, dog. I went from thinking like, oh my god, did he tear his Achilles? That's gonna be bad. Dang, man, that just ruined their whole season. Till oh, he's fine.
All right, the last game we got is this upcoming Thursday night football. Um, the huh, Cincinnati Bengals are going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Ravens at home, giving 6.
Uh oh yeah, it's gonna be the Ravens, man. Um, Despite the Bengals winning last week, it was not a great team they were going against. I still go with the theory that the Bengals find ways to lose games, and even though I feel like it'll be a tight game, it'll be no different. The Bengals will find a way to lose this game.
Oh boy, 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 boy! I have made. I feel like half of my. I feel like half of my losses. I know that math don't math on that one, but I feel like half of my losses have been gathered by betting against the Ravens all season. Um, so why change now? I'm gonna take the six. I'm gonna take the six with Cincinnati. God, their defense is bad, and Baltimore's offense is great. But it's a Thursday night football game. It's a division game. I can see it being ugly. I think Baltimore does win the game, but I can see it being on a field goal, Justin Tucker field goal to win the game. I can see that. So I think Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati has the lead for a lot of the game, and then in the end of the game, Baltimore comes back, kicks the field goal, wins the game. Everybody goes home happy.
Yeah, man. So we'll see how that goes. That's all I got for the football right now. Um, but also over the weekend, man, the Pistons won 3 games, man.
They did win two or three. I mean, they won 3 games altogether, but yeah, no, they won 3 of the last 4. So, um, yeah,
Well,
man,
since the last time we've been on,
yeah,
and somebody told y'all, Somebody told y'all to watch out for the Sixers game and watch out for the
Nets.
the Nets game. And what did they win? They won the Sixers game and the Nets game +1.
Yeah. And now I'm in that I'm in that camp where the Lakers win was a surprising win. But then at the end of the day, when you look at that Lakers roster, they have no bench. LeBron played 40 minutes last night, which is it's surprising if he plays in Detroit at all. But he played 40 minutes. So they were trying to win that game. Anthony Davis had 37 points, but I don't know how good the Lakers team is. But all that being said, it doesn't matter. The Pistons are that bad where we're taking all the wins we could get. It was great seeing them. You know, it was great seeing the Lions players there to support the team. Uh, Greg Kelser, man. I think Greg Kelser, man. Greg Kelser getting up there, man. You know, a lot of these announcers are getting up there, but Greg Kelser, you know, he kind of called out. He got called out the Lions for no reason. They kind of took a shot at him. Like they came to the post game and he said, "Hey, I know you guys are only here because of the to see the Lakers, but you know, blah blah blah, the Pistons." And Demo had to check him a little bit. He was like, "No, we here to see the Pistons. You know, we here to see the Pistons, Detroit basketball, da da da." So I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, man, no, we were asking for Tobias Harris to step up. All the Pistons fans were asking for Tobias Harris to step up. He had a terrible game shooting from three, but he still contributed 17 points, which is that's all I said, man. I just need 14 plus from Tobias, and they'll be all right. Jaden Ivey he's on a hot streak to start the season off. Led the team in scoring with 26 points. He's been productive every game this season. Him and K have been productive every game this season. They've showed up to every game. K's turnovers are going to be a thing, but in the fourth quarter, they were not hitting shots. But last night, K had the ball, kicked it to Ivy for the open three. So I think Tobias hit a big shot. They just whenever a bucket was needed, they would knock down the shots, and it was real good to see, man. So going forward, let me see who they got next game. There's no games on tonight, so the Pistons play. Pistons play. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Pistons play 11-6. Oh, they take on the Hornets. So, oh my goodness, we could see possibly 3 wins in a row for the Detroit Pistons. Something that didn't happen at all last year.
So essentially, man, going forward, with us winning 3 games, man, what are you seeing from the team? Do your expectations change any? People were saying, no, the narrative has always been K can't play together. They essentially still play pretty good together last night. Both of them have been showing up for games with Tobias Harris stepping up. They're looking pretty good. Yeah, we both agree that Kate shouldn't be bringing the ball up. Maybe they would be a better team if they had another guy, maybe even Ivy, bring the team up. But with them winning 3 games and especially them beating the Lakers, does it change your outlook on the team any?
Unfortunately, no. But fortunately, it brings me back to where I was preseason. The first couple losses really shook me to the core. And as you know, I'm quick to turn on I'm quick to turn on a team. Uh, so when they were losing and how bad they looked, it really started to shake my preseason prediction, which was they were capable of winning 30 or more games. But the way they've been playing lately, my thing with Jaden Ivey and K playing together last year was that Jaden Ivey was not a good enough shooter to play off ball of Cade. But I be trying to give Trajan Langdon his credit. I'm all on board of what Trajan's been doing to rebuild this team. And one of the underrated moves he did was he brought in shooting coach from New Orleans, Fred Vinson, who everyone around the league respects this guy as one of the best shooting coaches in the game of basketball. And I didn't know what that was going to look like or what it was going to translate for the team. But I am convinced that Jaden Ivey has kidnapped this man and is keeping him in his house. Uh, when he wakes up, they working on his jump shot. While he's brushing his teeth, they working on his jump shot. It looks like he's put in major work on Jaden Ivey's shot because I have to look it up, but just off the top of my head, I feel like Jaden Ivey has been one of their and Cade too. I ain't gonna hold you up. Cade and Jaden's 3-point percentage, I would imagine is way better than it was last year. And the fact that people keep harping on how criminal of a job Monty Williams did last year, and, and
Somebody said it first. Somebody said it first.
it was I mean, you can't argue it, man. You just can't argue it because Jaden Ivey right now in my mind, I haven't seen a whole lot of everybody in the league, but right now Jaden Ivey has got to be in the conversation of NBA most improved player.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, man. I would definitely say that they got me interested last night. Last night may have been the most I've been interested in a basketball game in a long time, and I'm excited to see what they do going forward. I didn't catch the whole game, but I catch the last few minutes of the game, and it was pretty exciting, man. Especially when they pull out a win. So you know, what I'm saying we'll see what they do going forward.
So to circle back, man, yeah. Wow. Um, so real quick, the vets they brought in were Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, and Tim Hardaway Jr. And real quick, everybody, it was hard to find people that gave some props to Tim Hardaway Jr. I like Tim Hardaway Jr. So I was like, oh, Tim Hardaway Jr. And everybody was like, oh, it's a salary dump. This guy might not even play this season. He might just take the buyout. And I'm like, hold on. First of all, Tim Hardaway Jr. went to Michigan, so he's been here before. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is a fine NBA player, but I mean, and I'm not gonna hold you up. During preseason, Tim Hardaway Jr. looked rough. So again, I kind of eased off my take. I eased off my take. I ain't gonna hold you up, but now I pulled up the 3-point percentage shooting, and number one is Tim Hardaway Jr. He's shooting he's shooting 3-pointers at 49%, which is crazy. I mean, that's obviously gonna go down, but he averages 6 threes a game and he makes 3 of them. Like, I mean, that's great efficiency. That's
Yeah.
fantastic efficiency. That's probably part of the reason why you're doing well. And then who's second? Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey shooting the 3 ball at 39%. And I think league average is like 30. Last year, league average was like 32, 33%. So Jaden Ivey shooting it at 39%. And then Cade is shooting it at 37%. So, hey, man, that's always been my thing, man. I harped on it all last year. Is the easiest fix for this team is that, like it or not, this NBA is the 3 ball is a huge part of this style of basketball that's in the NBA. And the Pistons was like for years the Pistons didn't care. They're like, we don't care about 3-point shooting. It's like that's cool, but I mean everybody shoots the 3 ball but us. So Trajan Langdon brought in 3-point shooters. Malik Beasley, that's another guy he brought in. He's fourth, and Tobias Harris is 6th on the team. So everybody he brought in is a great shooter on his team, and then he brought in the shooting coach, and Jaden Ivey and Cade are shooting the best 3-point percentage in their career right now. So, hey man, I just hope that this carries on and it's something to build on. Um, Even Isaiah Stewart, right? Isaiah Stewart was a guy that we didn't know what to do with as Pistons fans. Um, and I will say I was wrong about this. People were telling me that Isaiah Stewart needs to be the center for the team, and I always considered him to be a power forward. And he's been playing center, and he's been commanding the defense, man. Like he's been all over the place. The Pistons are playing really good defense, and that's something that I haven't said. I can't, you have to go back to Ben Wallace. But the Pistons are playing really good defense, and I hope it's sustainable. I don't see why it wouldn't be. But if they can continue to play good defense like this, man, 30 wins is definitely attainable, and you just build off of that.
Yeah, man. You know me, man. I've never been big on the three ball. It's the new way of the NBA. But I acknowledge, what I'm saying, I'm not saying that it's not essential. I'm not saying that it's not an essential thing. But the one thing that I did notice last night, that even though they were shooting threes and they were hitting threes, they did not abandon attacking the rim and making mid-range shots. When the shot was open, they attacked it. K was driving in the lane, and when he found a mid-range shot, which I think is supposed to be his most high percentage shot, he took it. So I'm not mad at that style of play. Guys hitting their 3-point shots when they need to, as long as you're running plays and making the highest percentage shot. That's what I like about, and along with defense. When I was saying back in the day, I was saying defense and play your game, man. And I feel like they're not forcing 3-point shots, and I see a lot of teams around the league. I've caught a couple of games this year, and this is essentially five guys standing around the perimeter taking turns shooting 3-point shots, and that's just the most boring game. I feel like that's why I fell out of love with the NBA in the first place. And when I see teams doing that, man, it's such a turnoff. But I didn't see that last night against the Pistons, and I loved every moment of it.
Yeah, K was built. K was sold as a 3-level scorer, and this is the first season that you're really seeing it. He's always had the mid range game. He's a okay finisher. Not the most exciting finisher, but he could get to the basket. Uh, they were saying that he wasn't getting a lot of foul calls, but I feel like he's starting to get foul calls when he goes to the basket. And like I talked about, he's the third. He's got the third highest 3-point percentage on the team, so that's good to see. We know Jaden Ivey could get to the basket at will, but he's added the 3-point shot to his game. And then Tobias Harris, we still waiting on his 3-point to come along, but his 3-pointer to come along. But Tobias Harris is a assassin in the mid range game. Anytime that's in the paint or just outside the paint, mid range. The last couple of games he's been an assassin, and it's real good to see.
Yeah, man. So I mean, as long as they getting out there and they scoring points, man, I don't care how they get it done. Just keep scoring points, and I feel like essentially that's what they did. I saw the Lakers take a lot of 3-point shots, and then the Pistons just came down to score too, and a lot of times that's what kept them in the game. Like you said, Ivy did hit that big 3-point shot at the end of the game, but I feel like it was an open shot and it was a good pass by Cade, and I wasn't mad at it. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a high percentage shot. Ivy was open, and if you can knock that down and put yourself up even further, I'm all for it. But I mean, I don't really have any more on that, man. I think we talked about everything I had on the list for today, and I think we can see what happens Thursday, man, and see y'all back for the weekend wrap up. I mean the weekend preview. So with that said, peace. Detroit.